Welcome to Varsity Vibes. This episode is sponsored by Lindsay and Associates. It's Coach Jeff Williams with new head coach of Sylvan Hills, Trey Shucker. Coach, welcome to the show, and let's talk about the process a little bit
Yeah,
here. People have been trying to pluck you out of Arkadelphia for many years. I mean, everybody knows it. You've done a phenomenal job, won state championships down there, done a great program, one of the top coaches in the state of Arkansas. Talk to us about the process of heading up to Central Arkansas in a place that a lot of people think it's got a chance to be a great special place at Sylvan Hills. Talk to us a little bit about the process and your mindset making the change.
yeah. First off, thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure to get to talk to you and be on the show. But yeah, no, Sylvan Hills is a special place. They reached out and obviously I've got a history with Coach Mark Kelly, the former head coach. Me and him coached together at Searcy for 5 years, and then I moved on to Arkadelphia, and Arkadelphia was a great place for me, and had all the support in the world, and we did great things there. But Sylvan Hills, with Coach Kelly moving on to Pulaski Academy, opened up the Sylvan Hills job, and he obviously talked to me about the job and told me all the great things about it, and he's a guy that I have a lot of faith and trust in, and he's going to lead me the right direction and tell me the truth on things. And he was right. Once I got here, everything that he said was true, and the people are so great and so supportive, and everybody's so excited, and they were able to have a great year last year, and everybody's so excited to continue to build on that, and wants the football team to be successful and to keep doing big things. And so just the atmosphere around Sylvan Hills right now is really exciting. And excited for the season, and so, I get the job, and pretty much, as a coach, when you get a new job, you want to start as fast as possible. And, and I was able to do that, fortunately. So my sister actually lives in Sherwood. And so pretty much how it's working right now for us is my wife, Morgan, and my 2 kids, they're back in Arkadelphia right now during the week. And then I'm here during the week, staying with my sister. And so that transition has been really smooth for the most part. We're working on trying to sell a house and buying a house here and trying to get here as fast as possible. But there's things in place to where I was able to get here immediately and start working.
Well, we've been there. When you make those changes, you depend on family members and just what you're talking about there. A lot of times wife and kids are left behind and selling houses, and you're trying to get spring ball and your summer schedule ready, and there's just a lot more. You just don't jump in your car and drive up to Sylvan Hills, start coaching ball, or just like
That's exactly right. Yeah, and you want it to be that, but there's processes that have to take place, and my wife Morgan's doing a great job trying to get our house prepped and sold and all that. She's kind of taken the main course on that, but she's doing a great job. But when you take over a new spot, there's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
Not every single place is different, has different people and different perspectives and different layout, different organization things that you got to figure out quickly, especially with this late in the spring. There's a lot to figure out and try to organize and get done the right way. And, everybody's different. And so you're just trying to figure that out so you can do the best job you can.
Well, you talked about it. I mean, your process, and then all of a sudden, let's just throw it out there, staff-wise. Mark took a couple of guys over to PA. You're one of your former assistants got elevated to Coach Kaiser got elevated to the your former job there at Arkadelphia. Talk to us a little bit about, you've been with those guys, and they've been your special teams coach there also at Arkadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Gutman did a phenomenal job for you. You're in the process of hiring a few guys staff wise. Talk to us a little bit about that process where you've leaned on some guys, but I mean you're connected, obviously no others, but that being familiar with other coaches, that process of bringing them in.
Yeah, well, and I think as a head coach, I think you ask any head coach, it's not just them on the staff, right? Like, the whole staff has got to buy into the culture and understand what you're trying to do as a program. And the head coach isn't the only one running that. The head coach organizes it and leads the direction of it, but the assistants play some of the biggest roles in developing relationships with the team and understanding, upholding the culture that we want, and obviously putting our kids and players in the best situation to be successful. And the staff at Arkadelphia did a great job of that. And, Chris Kaiser, been defense coordinator at Arkadelphia for many, many years. And it was time for him, that he was ready to be a head coach, and I was so happy that he was able to be elevated into that role. And you mentioned our special teams coordinator, Ben Chandler, did a great job.
Unbelievable.
Our special teams at Arkadelphia was phenomenal. But point being though is the staff there at Arkadelphia, they're kind of planted in Arkadelphia, so it wasn't like I could just bring my staff here with me. And so for me to come in here, I've got to get to learn who we have, what positions that we've got to hire for, what teaching spots that they're tied to, and so your resources come into play with who and who you can try to entice to come, join the staff here at Sylvan Hills. And on top of, I've got to learn who we have and the type of coaches that they are and what they know and what they don't. And so that's been one of the biggest things that I've tried to do this past week or last week, was trying to get to know my staff. And you got to know who you're working with, and who's relaying your message to the team. You want to know who they are and what they're about. And so that's been a big part for me this past week, is just getting to know our staff here and what we need to do to continue to improve and get better.
Well, the cupboard's not bare there at all. I mean,
No,
I mean, Mark got it turned around, but just what I know, you've got some players still there, and they're, you got a good talented bunch coming up. Let's talk about the 6A East just a little bit. It's just 6A in general, with the departure of Greenwood bumping down to 5A, Shiloh's bumped up to 7A, and they've kind of been the standard the last 3 or 4 years. I think a lot of the power has shifted to the 6A East with those 2 losses in the West Conference. Searcy coming in, Zach's got a good bunch coming in. Benton's there, Marion's been dominant. You guys win the conference last year. Kevin's down there at Sheridan, Brett Shockley taking over at El Dorado. Jonesboro. I mean, I really think that league you're going to be. It's just. I mean, I keep going through them and going, oh well, that one's
Yeah.
But they look. Everybody looks very competitive, and everybody's well coached. But I really think there's a lot of shift in power could be this year in that 6A East.
There is. It's a strong conference for sure. In our schedule, our non-conference schedule is tough too. We play Little Rock Central, Maumelle, and then Fayetteville. And so we don't have any off weeks on our schedule. So that's a good thing. That's exciting, honestly. Every week is going to be a big game, and we've got to be very prepared. Our team has got to do a good job of being ready for every Friday night. But you're right. There's been some shakeups in the East Conference with head coaches, some coordinators have switched around. So there is going to be a little bit different look to it. But every team is a competitive team for sure. Every team is going to look very similar, and it's going to come to the execution of how they play on Friday night. And then the other side of the conference has got, they're probably thinking their conference is wide open, and they're looking for that top playoff seed and trying to look at the bracket and see how it plays out. And so the other side, it's going to be competitive as well in their conference, and they're probably excited with Greenwood and Shiloh not being in their conference anymore, that they think it's even more wide open, and so I think all of 6A is, excited about their own situations and excited about the season and see how it can play out.
Well, it does. Well, talk to us a little bit about this, because you're jumping in here. You've been there for a week or so or whatever.
Yeah.
Getting spring practice scheduled, and what does that look like, and getting your summer. You're in a different location. I mean, you're not too far from probably a lot of the similar things that you're doing, trying to jump in some team camps here and there. Talk to us a little bit about getting that kind of organized, hiring staff guys, getting spring practice immediately, dealing with testing and spring, all that kind of stuff.
This time of the year is crazy.
It is. Yeah. But talk to us a little bit about, trying to get that organized. What's the spring look like? What you're trying to get out of it? And what's your summer looking like before you get into fall camp?
Yeah, so it's been one of the best transitions you can ask for as a head coach. We actually had our first spring ball practice yesterday, and there was so much energy and excitement to get out there and get going and actually doing football. And so it was very, very encouraging to see that. And again, it's still day one spring ball. It's same things that everybody goes through. But for me, taking over the job last Monday was my first day, and it would be very difficult to have started spring ball this early if there wasn't some carryover from what Coach Kelly had done before. You know, me and Coach Kelly work together at Cersei. We have a lot of same philosophies. Some of the same principles are the same that we run on offense. You know, it'd be very difficult to come into a new place and wholesale the whole offense, right? So with Coach Kelly being here the previous year, there's a lot of carryover from what we do. Again, there's some differences, of course, but some same philosophies are still intact, and we were able to start spring ball because of that. And so for me coming into Sylvan Hills, the transition has been as smooth as you can ask for in terms of installing our offense and continuing to try to do what I want to do and what the kids have done and what they know already. And then our defensive staff is still intact too. Braden Hood is our defense coordinator, and he's been here for 3 years, and so that's been a big part of it. Also, he does a great job with our defense, and you know, our defensive staff is still intact also, and we're doing the same stuff on defense. So we were able to continue to have the same spring ball practice schedule as what has been previously scheduled, and so that's been a big help for us. Also, we're able to get outside and actually do the football stuff and almost go full speed of what you really want to do in football.
Yeah.
You know, there's some coaching points and learning through some things, but like I said, it'd be completely different if it was a wholesale change of the offense and everything was completely different. So it's been
the
a good
transition with, you know, Mark being there is obviously. What are you trying to get out of spring ball? I mean, you're learning the kids. We're trying to get the complete scheme in. Are we learning each other, or is there certain, you know, what's your number one goal getting out of spring practice? And staying healthy is always.
I was going to say staying healthy is the main one, just like everybody, right? Everybody wants to get out of spring ball healthy and not have any injuries. But two, I'm just trying to learn the kids and see who they are as a player, on and off the field. You know, I'm here. I want to learn who they are as a person, as a student, and then as a player. With spring ball practice, I'm learning who they are as a player and what they can do on the field, and what their best qualities are, and where they're strong, where they're weak, what we need to work on this summer. So I'm evaluating. And so I'm evaluating on the fly, but I'm evaluating. It's an evaluation period just like any other spring.
Yeah.
You know, in this situation, just like anybody else, we've got sophomores that are still trying to figure out how to be a high school football player, you know, and me, I'm trying to figure out who the sophomores are, you know, and so it's fun. And that, honestly, that's the exciting part of it is learning the players, the staff, and just the whole organization of what has been installed and who they are right now, and where we're weak and what we need to get better at. I love the new aspect of it.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming on, man. I know it's a busy time and taking, 15, 20 minutes with us. We really appreciate it. And just checking in on you. You're going to do great things there. I mean, you've been successful wherever you've been, and I don't think it's going to change there. And I'm really looking forward to that conference because I think there's going to be battles every Friday night.
Every Friday night it's going to be a battle, and you might see it. You know, it'll be very hard for somebody in this conference to go undefeated in conference.
I believe that.
But I think getting that 1 seed is going to be very crucial for whoever does end up on the top of the conference. I think that is big when it comes to the playoff picture.
There's no doubt about it. Well, thanks for coming on, Coach. We'll be checking your work like we always do, and we'll have you on later on down the road.
Well, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to be on your show.